They've had all the controls, all the levers, all the power, everything at their disposal, and they still can't defeat humanity. They still cannot vanquish the truth. And I see more and more people waking up to the truth every day. And somebody else is going to hear it today. Somebody else is going to hear it tomorrow. And they're going to, go down that rabbit hole. They're going to take that red pill. And then it keeps going and going and going. And that's how you change things.
Hey guys, Josh Lake with the Pebbleton Post here today with Mr. Clint Westwood, and we're going to be talking about one of our favorite topics, which is cryptocurrency. Specifically more on some of the basics, some of the stuff that is more rudimental and basic to what cryptos are, because one of the things that we're doing here on this channel is just trying to not only educate ourselves, but also create a conversation for people who are still waking up to the scene, waking up to the technology. And that's why I'm so excited to have Clint on the show today, because ever since I've entered this space, Clint's been so instrumental in my own awakening. And so, Clint, man, thanks so much for being here. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm awesome. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. You said you were going to do something. I'm like, absolutely, man. Just tell me when and we'll set up a time and get it done. And yeah, I'm more than happy to do it. It's all about education, helping people understand, what our future is and where it's going, where it could go, where it shouldn't go, and, trying to make that best decision.
That's right.
With where we're headed.
You were an educator, weren't you?
Yeah, I just looked the other day. Once in a while, I have to log into the website to see if I still have my teaching credential. They just want some money every 3 or 4 years, whatever it is. So I'm good till next year. I'm still certified to teach in Illinois. Yeah, it's just, it's been so long since I've taken any classes. I'm like overeducated at the underclassmen level, but yeah, so I can still teach. English, language arts. I can do high school. I can teach some history, social science, psychology, all that stuff. But that's not my major. It's just what they say I can teach because I had enough classes.
Well, I can tell that you're a teacher because every day that you go on, just the way you present, just the information that you're presenting, you're passionate about it. And you have such a depth of knowledge that I love to tune into when you're doing your Digibug drives in the morning or when you're getting on with Lisa for happy hour. You guys I've learned so much, not just about crypto, but just about truth and life in general. And so I can tell that you're a man of education.
Yeah, I'd like to say, and I think it's true in a lot of ways, that I've forgotten more than I've ever learned. I kind of feel that way sometimes. I'm like, man, I used to know that stuff inside and out. But I think what happens, though, when you go through life, and I just turned 50. When you go through life, you learn a lot of things, and then in the process of learning those things, it changes you and kind of affects you to where you form a certain belief based on those things that you've learned. And so you just kind of sometimes discard learning anything else in that field because it's like, okay, I've seen enough. I can kind of make a pretty good conclusion. So I'm not going down that road anymore. And I'm going to continue going down this road. And then sometimes you come back and say, yeah, maybe that decision or that conclusion wasn't the best. I got to need to reevaluate it a little bit. It's hard to explain. Somebody will say a lot of times, well, prove it to me. Why do you believe that? And I'm like, well, it's like the last, 35 years of learning things. And I can't point you and cite the exact place where I learned it, but it was kind of an amalgamation of all these things to where it's caused me to be the person I am today. And you just kind of have to judge me by my actions. Either I'm a good person kind of going down the right path trying to help, or I'm not. And, I can't really give you all the definitions of why I came to be who I am.
Exactly.
Why I think the way I do,
Especially when you're talking to someone who's still a little bit more asleep. I'm out here in California, and a lot of the people who I talk to have a very, rudimentary understanding of a lot of the things that, we talk about in this community. And that's why, it's hard. It's hard to communicate with them, and it's hard to build context around the things that we've spent so much time developing and understanding and still learning. And a lot of the learning is just unlearning all of the things that we were taught, at the beginning.
You're 100% right on that. A lot of it really is unlearning and unconditioning yourself, because there's a power structure in place that sometimes you look around and, I knew things were kind of messed up in the world when I came into it. So I kind of had that advantage, I think, maybe at a spiritual level. I'm just like, okay, this is kind of screwed up. I'm not sure about this stuff. And I always was a questioner, and I doubted, authority and things like that, because I'm like, somebody's got an agenda here. I was just in my nature to be a contrarian.
Yes.
And a lot of people, they just, it's American pie. It's, the red, white, and blue, and everything's great. And, just go to work and go have a retirement and everything will be hunky dory, man. Leave it to Beaver style. It's all great. Gee, Wally, it didn't work out that way, because now we're finding out that things just aren't really what we've been told. It's hard to attain that level of freedom, and feel like you're comfortable, and feel like, all this work that you put into life really went to something, and it's some level of security, later in, your years. Because I mean, all you got to do is just go to the store and you see how much things cost, and you think, well, man, why does everything cost so much? I'm not getting paid that much more money to get the same goods that I bought, last year or the year before. Why does it cost so much more money? And why am I not making the same amount more, same percentage more? And you kind of start looking at those things, and, most people don't get it at first, but when you get it, you get it. And I mean, and crypto helped a lot of people get that, because cryptocurrency it's a form of money. And when you start looking at it, you realize, well, wait a minute, something like Bitcoin, something like Litecoin, there's only so much of it. It has a fixed supply. They can't just like print a billion, trillion more and hand it to foreign countries and say, well, where'd that come from? It's a fixed supply. And once you start to understand the scarcity of having something that has a finite supply, a limited supply, you think, wow, if I have some of that, then I'm kind of ahead of the game. Because at some point, if everybody has all of it, and then more people come to the table and want to participate and get some, well, one of us has to say, yeah, I'll sell it, but I'm going to name my price. And so when you understand what valuable assets are, that's what money should be. It should protect your wealth. You put your energy, your work into it, it should hold that value. But our dollars don't do that. In fact, they're Federal Reserve notes. They're not really dollars.
I know what you're saying, man. And that's something that I feel like you and Bix and the people who are in this kind of sect of the cryptocurrency space has been instrumental for me to understand, because a lot of the people in the crypto space, especially in like my generation or just the like more mainstream, only see it as an investment strategy. They only see it as, something that they can park their money in and pull it out later. And they're never going to keep it in crypto. They're going to use it just to advance their fiat dollars. And that's something that you guys have taught me, is that this is a way to exit the system. And one of the things that you love to say in your videos, and I love to hear, is the vampire casino analogy, which helped me understand so much about what the fiat system is. And so, if you wouldn't mind just give a little background on that, in case someone who's tuning in might not have ever heard that. How would you describe that?
It's to try to boil it down is difficult, because we all know something's wrong. And, with me, as I said, I knew something was wrong from a very early age, and I didn't understand 100% what. But then as I got older, I realized it's the money. It's right in front of you. Money is the root of all kinds of evil. All these lessons that we get, but it really is the money. It comes down to the ability to control the money and create as much money as you want. And that's how you can create all these, I don't know, nefarious agencies within the government. And this is how you can fund all these operations that are illegal. And there's all these bad things that get done because you have access to the money. If it were difficult to come across money, then, it wouldn't be so easy to say, hey, here's another $100 billion. You just can't do that. You'd actually have to get on a bunch of boats, if you're in Europe, and go to the New World with a bunch of soldiers and try and steal some gold, and have a big war to try and get that money. And so it's a difficult process to get that, because there's only so much of it to go around. But when you can control the money and you force people to use that money and you manipulate that money, I look at it as really, it is. It's just like going into a casino. When you go into a casino, you've got to play with your poker chips. You can't just take cash and put it on the table. It's like, no, you've entered their realm. You've entered their place, and you've got to play by their rules. Otherwise, get your knuckles broken in the basement, or you get thrown out the door, or they won't cash you out and say, no, you were cheating, and you're like, I wasn't cheating. Well, it is what it is. We own the place. And so I look at the way our governments have run things, and specifically the United States, because it really has a monopoly on the money with the Federal Reserve Central Bank, which was created in 1913. Prior to that, it was a different situation. But once that happened, they basically have one big casino that we all participate in, and I call it the vampire casino, because all it does is rob you of your energy, and it completely steals your energy. And that's what a vampire does. It just wants your energy. It really doesn't have any power unless you give it to them. They can't have wars in the Middle East over oil if we don't participate as soldiers. Anything that we do, if they put a mandate, in Illinois, there are a lot of mandates. I think California did too. But if a governor puts a mandate, on the state, during an event, and it's unconstitutional, but the police carry it out and they carry out that unconstitutional order, is that right? No. And then the courts later proved that, yeah, it was unconstitutional. But at the time, you're participating and you're forced to participate, through might. And until we all wake up and realize that we're serving really a vampire system that does nothing but rob us, at every level, and we have to cease, really validating it and enforcing it, in any way that really, if you see it's wrong, then you shouldn't support it. And no matter what you do, if you feel like you're supporting that system, you shouldn't do it. And the way I look at it as the money's the problem. We're playing in their casino. Every time we get a paycheck, we take Federal Reserve notes for payment. How do we continue? How can we complain that the system is broken if we continue to participate in it? So at one point, we didn't have an option, and it was very frustrating. Trust me. I'm like 2008 crash. I'm like, what are we going to do? They've completely imploded the banking system. They've loaned out all this money in derivatives, and they just imploded the whole system. And then they come in and print money to cover it up, and this, But it's like, we can't continue to do this. Well, then in 2009, Bitcoin comes out. 2011, Litecoin comes out, and then on and on. You've got sound cryptocurrencies that have come out and have offered us an option to not play with the vampire casino chips anymore. We can walk out and say, wait a minute, this is the form of money that exists outside the government, outside of a central bank, outside of their casino, and we can choose to use it. And if we do choose to use it, it will have more value. And the more people who use it, the more value it has. And we can transfer our energy without it getting siphoned off by vampires. See, I can send value to you, you can send it to me, and it's a complete independent network, again, outside of central banks, outside of government, that make sure that transaction is validated. It runs on open source code. It's decentralized. There's no one who can control it. It's like we said, enough is enough. We need a new form of money. And I get the dogs upset. But if we all said that, enough is enough, we're not playing with this money anymore, and we say, okay, what do we need to go out and create? Well, it's already been created for us in the form of Bitcoin, Litecoin, and sound cryptocurrencies. It's just a matter of, do we want to give them power and use them and withdraw from a system that's been robbing us? Or do we want to continue to participate in it and watch it go up in flames?
That's the question. And I love everything you just said, because you just gave a great framework as to not only how the current financial system is really distraught and broken and corrupt, but also a really good way of how we can start to put our energy, put our wealth towards a system that is completely out of the control of, the powers that be, who clearly don't want us to be all that powerful, in all honesty. And so, I found crypto back in 2019 when it was actually you're one of the first people who ever sent me cryptocurrency. We were at the Litecoin Summit in Vegas, and Bix was having a party, or his pre-show
night before the summit.
And we I remember we were at a big house with a bunch of the people who like Bitcoin Ben, Lisa, you, and people who I didn't at all understand at the time. But now, having been introduced to you guys, it's been crazy the amount of awakening that's happened since then. And I got to say that thank you so much. You were one of the first people to ever send me cryptocurrency into my own wallet, and I didn't even understand what that meant at the time.
Right.
Now I can see how that means. You're holding your own wealth. You're holding something that is a hard asset, something that is private, it's secure, and it's something that they can't take away from you unless you unwillingly or unknowingly do it, like give it to them. And so
Right.
I just want to
Yeah.
say thank you for being such a
Hey,
part of that awakening for me.
100%. You're 100% welcome. That's why I do what I do, and that's what encourages me to keep going and to keep doing these things. Is because it can get frustrating. I've had this conversation. I just had it recently with several people to where, what are we gonna do? I try and teach my family about this stuff. They look at me like I'm nuts, and it's like, why are you doing this? And they get frustrated. They get dejected. And my word of encouragement to anybody in that situation is, I heard about Bitcoin in 2010. Did I take action on it? No. Should I have? Yeah, probably. Was I ready? No, because I didn't internalize it. I didn't understand what it was. It was just one of those things to where it's like, hey, this is like a stock. Maybe I can make money on it. And yeah, you can. And you can lose a lot of money on it too if you don't know what you're doing. You buy at the top and it goes down. I mean, it goes up and down in dollar terms. But the thing is, if once you own it, once you have it in your possession, once you have it on your own wallet, there's nothing that anybody can do to take it away from you. You're completely sovereign at that point. Just like these dogs, they're completely sovereign. They do whatever they want. You want to get in that position to where you can do what you want. You have control of your wealth. Nobody should have control of your wealth, because if you take a situation, and that's what cryptocurrency offers you. It offers you the ability to hold your energy in your possession, and you can do with whatever you want, 24/7, 365 days a year. You can do anything you want with that money and send it, and that network's going to validate it. Try and send a wire on the weekend through a bank. I mean, banks were just closed yesterday for President's Day. And, my daughter, she's looking at her account and she's like, well, it's supposed to be this. And I said, well, it's because you swiped your debit card at a gas station in Chicago when you were up there, and they had $100 hold fee on it, and it's not going to clear until after the holiday. And it's just, those are the games you play. But with cryptocurrency, it's an immediate thing. It's like digital cash. You pay it, boom, it's done. You're not waiting on all these third parties. And then if you've got a lot of money in the bank and you try and take it out, go try and take $10,000 out of the bank. They're going to hand you a piece of paper if they even let you take it out. They might have to order it from the local Federal Reserve to have it, because the money's not in the bank. I mean, you think you got money in the bank, it's not there. It's fractional reserve banking system. It's not there. So if you try and take $10,000 of what you think is your money out of the bank, you're going to fill out paperwork. They're going to send it to the Treasury and the national government, and they're going to ask you, why do you need that money? And you're going to say, well, it's my money that I made. I made this money through work, and I just put it into the bank for safekeeping. And see, this is where you're wrong. It's not your money. And this is why it's a vampire casino, because once you opt into it, it's their poker chips, and they don't have to give them back to you. See, they don't have to. If that bank goes under, they'll keep that money, and they'll use, which is completely legal. They'll use something called a bail-in. Congress, your representatives passed this, a bail-in. And so that bank, they're not going to bail it out. They're going to go in and they're going to take the funds that you have in there and try and make themselves solvent. So you're a shareholder in the bank once you put money in there. It's a casino. You got to opt out of it. I mean, you got to have something in your own possession. Possession is 9/10 of the law. Why not have possession of your money, the energy, that's holding your energy, that sound thing that you worked for? You need something like that. And cryptocurrency offers that. And precious metals offer that too. It's anything, gasoline in the tank offers that. Anything of real value, a car with, the title, the deed to your home, all these things you want to have in your possession, because if not, you are participating in a vampire system, and they're going to try and take your stuff from you. That's what they're doing right now. They're raising interest rates. Before this, and see, they did this in the Great Depression. What they do is the roaring 20s, free money, baby. Anybody that wants money, come get it. Come get it. And they did this leading up to, the crash in 2008 with housing. Anybody wants a house, go buy 5 of them. We don't need your income, nothing. Go. And so they create this money out of nothing. And the thing is, though, it's got to get paid back, and it's got to get paid back with interest. And at some point, they start to tighten it up. They tighten up the money supply, and that's what they're doing now, raising rates, making it harder to get money into the system. Well, I got all these bills. I got to pay all these loans that you guys gave to me. They said, hey, it's going to be great forever. And now it's getting tight. Man, I might not be able to make the payment on that one house that I shouldn't have bought. Okay, well, come take it. And you could have paid 50% down on the loan. It doesn't matter. They'll come take it. You could have paid 90% of it off. But if you can't make that last payment, sorry, they'll come take it. And see, this is just it's a whole thing is rigged. Why do you want to be in a rigged game like this? And that awakening process takes a long time. And I'm trying to accelerate that. I've got like a megaphone trying to wake people up to it so they don't have to go 10 years and, go through all the pain and anguish. They can wake up now and say, wait a minute, that does make sense. Okay, maybe I should start doing something a little bit differently. Something inside me said I should. I just didn't know what to do. And so if that's the case, start taking action. Start finding ways to opt out of that system because it's not working in your favor. I mean, on President's Day, we had a president who was in another country rather than our country. So, look at things like that. It's right in front of you that the people in charge, and it's both sides of the aisle, they really don't care about you. They really don't care about you. They give a lot of lip service, but ultimately I look at them as, well, they're really all vampires and they're just looking to suck my energy out of me. I'm not going to give it to them. I'm going to find somewhere else to put my energy, in local communities and helping other people and trying to educate people and lifting people up. So that they can make better decisions and, have more information to make better decisions. Because the tools are all out there. We've got economic tools that we can use now that we never had before. They're right there on the battlefield. You've got your Bitcoin bazookas, you got your Litecoin lasers. I mean, you got all these things. Just go pick them up and use them. I mean, you've got the opportunity to use them to exit this system.
Yes, absolutely, man. And that's something, everything you just said is so... People don't understand that. People who are just kind of have their head down and they're just trying to make ends meet and they're just, have a job making money. They don't really understand that the money that they have isn't even truly money. It's not even.
No, it's not.
It's a currency that's being, totally losing its purchasing power by being inflated away. Mm-hmm. It's being created out of thin air all the time by, like you said, the fractional reserve banking system and through, all the stimulus and quantitative easing that has been going on, and people don't understand that. And so that's why I am really excited to be trying my best to understand this system, or not even understand that system, understand the new way to get out. And it's people like you who've done such a good job at highlighting all that for me. One of the things that you always like to say is that, you call Litecoin, which, one of our favorite cryptocurrencies. I got a nice little Litecoin silver rounder.
Perfect. I've got one over here. I just can't reach it. It's over here on the bar though.
And it's easily one of my favorite cryptocurrencies for so many reasons. And one of the things that you like to say about it is that it is sound money for the digital age.
Yep.
And, the way I take that is because it is not only just a currency, but it is a form of money in the sense that it holds its value. There's a limited supply, 84 million. Right? Is 84 million?
84 million is the most that can ever exist. And right now there's about a little over 72 million. It's going to take another 100 years to mine out the rest because it's a diminishing return on the creation. And so, it just gets tougher and tougher to get all the easy Litecoins out there. Mm-hmm. And for under $100 for one Litecoin right now, this is a pretty good opportunity. It's really, $100 bill that most counterfeit bill in the world, I think, is the $100 bill, mm-hmm. So it's like, you can take $100 bill and get yourself one Litecoin. That puts you way ahead of the game because, I do the math all the time, but if you're looking at 8 billion people in the world and you're looking at 84 million Litecoin, that's only enough for 1/100th of a Litecoin per person. 1/100th. So a $100 bill right now gets you one Litecoin. That's 100 times more than the going rate, I guess, as far as population is concerned. Sorry about these dogs. They're absolutely nuts right now.
No worries, man.
I'm out here in the bar. They're running around.
I love when you have them on when you were driving in your Digibug the other day. And they were just making little guest appearances.
With little cameos. Hey, you want to come down here? Come down here. Come here.
But something I think...
Mute myself.
No, dude. Don't worry about it. But something I love about that saying, sound money for a digital age, is that we are moving toward a very digital world right now. We are moving into a place where so much of our life, so much of our interactions, our education, our business, our work is online. And I do think that as we continue to dive deeper into that world, we're going to continue to need solutions and products and services and systems that reflect that digital world. And so when it comes to crypto, that's definitely something I see. Blockchain, distributed ledger technology, I definitely see as fulfilling so many of those roles. And it's something that there's I don't think there's a lot of very valuable things that exist digitally. At least there used to not be. I remember one of the things that you said that really resonated with me a while ago was that, all things of value come from the earth, come out of the ground.
Prove me wrong.
I know. And so that's why I think now that we're moving we're moving kind of away from the earth into this digital realm. The only thing of value that I really see in that digital world, I mean, there's plenty, but the thing that I think is so strong to use as a peer-to-peer transaction is cryptocurrency, and the good ones, ones like Litecoin. I know you like Digibyte.
I like Digibyte, yeah.
And yeah, so what do you think about how we're moving toward that digital world?
All right, I'm going to get into that. Give me 1 second here. We are moving into a digital world. Mm-hmm. We're seeing that with everything. My daughter, she's 9 years old. She's asking me for Robux. Roblox is a huge game, and Robux, you can inside the game, again, it's like a little micro casino. Inside the game, you can purchase different things, hairstyles and pants and shirts and all these different things. And so you take your money, your dollars, your Federal Reserve notes, and you actually purchase these things in the game, but they're in that closed ecosystem. And so, you're actually buying digital items that have no real value outside that game. Now there are other games. I remember World of Warcraft. I never played it, but I know somebody, he's like, hey man, can you buy me some guild? And I'm like, what? And he didn't have a credit card or anything, so I'd buy it from some Chinese site or something. I'm like, what is this? And then so he could have guild inside the game so he can armor up and do different things. And so you kind of see that digital, there's that appeal digitally, especially for younger generations, that, I mean, they're going to be using this stuff. They get it, transferring value digitally, to them, it's a no-brainer. But in the big scope of things, so, the cryptocurrency is going to come in completely handy. I mean, because with credit cards, if you use that, there's chargebacks, there's fraud. With cryptocurrency, it's really hard to do that unless it's on an exchange. But if you have possession of it and you're just transferring it from one person to the other, it's just cash efficiently going forth, all over the world, buying whatever things that you want to buy, real items or digital items. But in the big picture, everything is digital now. So if there are people I come in contact with, it's like, I just want to deal with cash, or I'll just hold gold or silver or something like that. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. That worked in the past. However, you're going to need to be able to transact value. See, I work at home, so I work digitally. I know what it's like. But you're going to need to transact value. So if you're buying something online, or if you're, you want something shipped, how are you going to do it? How do you send gold? I mean, how do you send silver and verify? You take a picture of it and say, hey, I'm going to send you this. I mean, that doesn't work. In cash the same way. And so rather than using kind of a broken system, I shouldn't say broken, but a vampire system, really, because if you're using credit cards, what happens is the merchant's paying, all those points, those rewards you get, the merchant, the person selling it, they're the ones paying it. I mean, it's not the credit card company giving it to you. It's coming out of the merchant's pocket, 3%, maybe more sometimes every transaction. So when you use that credit card, you're hitting that local business guy. Yeah. With cryptocurrency, it's not so much like that, because, you can send $1 million of Litecoin for under a penny. I mean, that's how efficient it is. And it's just, and it arrives and the network validates it. But there are a lot of people who will say, well, what happens if we have an EMP? You're going to lose all your money. I'm like, well, the network's still going to hold all the money. I mean, the only thing you're doing is accessing it with a private key, on your phone. You really don't hold the coins. You just have access to the coins. So that's the beauty of it. The network, the whole United States, the EMP could take us all out. Doesn't matter. That money's still there. Well, but you lost it all and you can't use it all, or whatever. They want to make the argument. Okay, well, can you go to the gas station after an EMP and get gas? I mean, can you go anywhere and transact value? My wife and her sister went to a restaurant last year, and the processing payment machine was down, the electronic machine. Said, do you have cash? No. Okay, well, your meal's free. They couldn't do anything. I mean, so if digital systems don't work, our whole infrastructure right now breaks down. I mean, you think about everything you do on a daily basis, everything is a digital transaction. If that doesn't work, then we're done. Crypto, it doesn't mean anything. We're done. So that has to work. And so we are moving into this digital age. Our whole humanity has kind of become dependent on it. So rather than kind of get ushered in to meet the new boss, same as the old boss situation, to where, hey, we're going to get rid of these dollars, we're going to give you a CBDC, a central bank digital currency, it's going to be better. Instead of doing that, Why don't we front run these vampires and get into sound digital money ahead of that so that we don't have to participate in that system? We can be outside of it and using it. And hey, whatever, you guys want to do this, good luck to you. And that's why I encourage people to get into sound cryptocurrencies and hold them in their own possession.
Right. And I know that not only do you preach it here on the internet, in live, I've been to plenty of in-person events where you're up there talking about it. I know that you and Lisa even go around and educate people on how to do, these kinds of things, because people need to understand that it's not only time to do this, but it's a necessary part of us to move out of this control system that we've been under for really forever. But Federal Reserve, since, like you said, 1913,
right, really ramped up in 1913 and has continued to ramp up every day since.
So when you talk to people on a one-on-one basis, I know that when you're up, on stage or in person or on your videos, you give them a really good philosophical general reason as to why people should get into cryptos, which I have taken to heart. I really appreciate the way that you discuss the concepts. But when someone's asking a little bit more like concretely, like, so what do I do? Someone who's brand new, someone like my mom or grandma, they're like, how do I even get started with this? What do you tell them? What do you tell them is the first steps, the first little tips to give a new crypto person?
Yeah. So I might be interested in this stuff. So how do I kind of get into it? And that's really it. I have a lot of friends who, I grew up in a very rural area, and they're still, I grow my food. I'm a farmer, I do concrete, and it's just like, they're intimidated by it. They're not really sure what to do. And rightfully so, because you look at the news and all they do is talk about the bad things, the bad players in the space and how they've fleeced everybody. But that's just like the regular system. It's just that, they convinced people to put their money with them, and then they ran off with it. But in the real, as far as crypto and holding it in your own possession, my advice is, do a little research on it. I mean, I would look at the main ones that have been around for a long time. I would look at Bitcoin. I would look at Litecoin, because they have been your solid ones that have never had issues with the network. I mean, Litecoin's had a network over 11 years running, never stopped, never had an issue. I mean, so, you look at those things that have longevity. It's a long time in the digital world for nothing to need to be rebooted. So it's, it's a big deal. But if you're going to get into cryptocurrency, I would look at wallets to where you can actually hold the crypto in your possession. A lot of people, they'll start off on something like Coinbase or Gemini or Kraken exchanges and buy their stuff on there, which you can do, and that's fine. I've done that. It's just that ultimately you don't want to leave it on there, because you're allowing someone else to hold your coins. So what you want to do is download a solid wallet. There's several of them out there. There's an Exodus wallet, a Koinomi wallet, Edge wallet's good. There's just a lot of them out there. If you're Litecoin, you can download the Lite wallet, Lite. So there's wallets to where you hold the cryptos, the private key to your cryptocurrency. And when you first download those, the most important thing, this is like the most important thing in crypto. If you ever,